Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Frog Knight here, and welcome to the first ever episode of Frog Knight's Freebies, an ongoing series where we pick out one free game off the Xbox Live Marketplace and we give it a proper review. This week, we're looking at Rayman Origins. Now, when this game originally came out, it got good reviews, but it just wasn't really that popular, and I feel like it deserves way more attention than it originally got. So with that being said, let's get to the review. So with a name like Rayman Origins, I think it's only proper that we dive into the history of the franchise so that way you guys can get familiar with our little limbless friend here. The original Rayman was created back in 1995 by Michael Ansel. It was originally developed for the Atari Jaguar, and then a couple months later, it was ported over to the PlayStation and the Sega Saturn. So after Rayman 2, The Great Escape, original creator Mike Ansel left Ubisoft to pursue other projects. But what makes this installment of Rayman so special is the simple fact that Mike Ansel returned to Ubisoft exclusively to work on Rayman Origins. And if you've ever played the first two Rayman games, you can clearly see how much influence he had on this title. So one of the first things that I truly fell in love with about Rayman Origins is the soundtrack. It's got a very bubbly, energetic, multi-layered feel to it, and it really fits the game. The soundtrack was composed by Christoph Harrell and Bill Martin, and you guys can really see how much work and time they put into the soundtrack of the game. Just check it out, listen to this riff. Along with the music, the game is equally impressive in its visuals department. It has a very unique, cartoony style to it, but it fits the game perfectly. It's filled with lush backgrounds and very colorful sprites. Another thing I really enjoy about Rayman Origins is the game mechanics. Now, yes, it is a 2D platformer, and you will progress through most of the game, by running and jumping over obstacles. However, there are certain times when the gameplay switched up, and it adds a great variety to the game. For example, I found myself flying in the air, being held by a tiny purple mosquito, shooting spitballs at air bombs. And the next thing you know, I'm chasing a treasure chest inside a cave while the walls are trying to fall on top of me. You see, it's this type of variety in gameplay that keeps the game fresh, and it makes it stand apart from other normal 2D platformers. And even with a large variety in the way the game plays and its mechanics, it still doesn't stray too far away from the classic recipe for a good 2D platformer. And the best part about Rayman Origins is that it doesn't hold your hand on your way there. There isn't somebody telling you what to do every 2 seconds or how to do it. There isn't a tutorial every time you come across a new obstacle. You progress through the game the old-fashioned way, through trial and error. A good example is right here, on these little electric lines. I wasn't even sure you were able to stand on them, let alone jump. And just out of curiosity and bravery, I jumped down, and now look, the game's rewarding me. I got a gold coin simply for trial and error. Now the object of the game is to free these tiny purple smiley guys that can be found at the end of every level. However, this isn't the only cage. There's multiple cages hidden throughout the level in secret places, so it adds tons of replay value, and it really does tend to keep things fresh. Level selection is conducted through an overworld map system, kind of reminiscent of Super Mario Land 3 or Super Mario World. And if you remember those little purple smiley guys I mentioned earlier, the more of those you collect, the more worlds you can open. It's kind of like a star system from Super Mario 64. Another feature exclusive to Rayman Origins is the fact that now you can actually pick from different characters besides Rayman himself. You can have Glowbox as your character, Blue Rayman, one of the teensies. There's actually quite a few to choose from. I believe there's almost 15 to be exact. But this is just one of the awesome new features in the franchise that really gives this game its identity. Now, each character has their own set of moves and play style, but as you progress through the game, you start to unlock new moves. A good example here is this part was extremely difficult for me to try and beat, but after I unlocked Rayman's iconic helicopter hair, I was able to lightly float above the enemies and take them all down without dying, which I did a lot. And of course, what is any 2D platformer without the boss battles? Guys, I gotta tell you that the bosses in this game are absolutely one of my most favorite aspects of the game. They're colorful, they're unpredictable, and to be completely honest, some of them are kind of tough to beat. So don't think that it's gonna be a cakewalk every time you come up against a giant bird. Just like I did. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't stress enough how much I recommend Rayman Origins. Especially on the sole fact that it's free this month, you guys. There's almost no reason not to give it a try. It's got tight controls, beautiful visuals, exciting music, diverse gameplay, and not to mention, it's a pretty long game. So you're getting your money's worth. Alright guys, this pretty much concludes my review of Rayman Origins. Thank you so much for checking out the very first episode of Frog Knight's Freebies. I gotta get out of here and start working on my next video, but in the meantime, remember, with all my might, I'll fight the fight. I am Frog Knight.